So this is Rashida. She is a survivor of the Tula Toli massacre. Rashida had her 28-day-old baby torn from her arms and smashed to death in front of her. They then stabbed her and they tried to slit her throat. Mohammed Ayaz is 16. He's the only surviving member of his family. Everyone else was massacred by the Burmese security forces. And he was shot in the chest. You can see the bullet wound there. Fatima is 15. She watched soldiers beat her 10-year-old sister to death. And then they beat her unconscious. And she woke up in a burning house and managed to escape.
I think what we want to do as a panel is to explain to you what has led up to this. And by that I mean the state crime of genocide that the Myanmar government, the Myanmar military have been engaging in. So I think, first I think I'd like to hand over to Azeem.
The persecution of the Rohingya can be traced back to the Second World War, when the Japanese invaded what was at that time British Burma. The Rohingya minority sided with the British colonial masters, whereas the majority Buddhist population decided to support the Japanese invaders. So the persecution of the Rohingya did not start from last month or the month before. This has actually been going on for decades. Wave after wave, they've experienced wave after wave of violence. The most recent wave that we're now seeing on our TV screen is probably the worst that we've actually seen, and there's a number of reasons why I believe that has transpired. I believe the military was in a position that they felt that they could execute the final solution.
I think if I could hand over to Tom, and if you might talk about our understanding of genocide.
And from studying these genocides, we've been able to come up with stages that will signify that a genocidal process has started. And the stages briefly are stigmatization, harassment, isolation, systematic weakening, and then the fifth stage is annihilation, and then you have a sixth stage, symbolic enactment, which is afterwards. How does history remember? So we went to Rakhine State and started looking for signs of any of these stages, and it quickly became clear that there were signs for lots of signs for at least the first three stages.
If we're thinking about annihilation and we're thinking about genocide, what they would call the Burmese Rohingya are almost no more. You know, they are existing as a diaspora in appalling camp conditions and in other parts of the world. But I think if we're thinking about genocide, what does it look like? What does it mean? This is what it looked like. I wonder if Anastasia and Shafi would like to make any comments.
I am afraid that my work is quite inadequate in this sense. Ethnic cleansing does not look like my pictures. It looks a whole lot fucking worse.
What's chilling for me is that such a thing could be pre-planned. Such a thing could have a chairman who, at the behest of the army, is telling the population you mustn't go anywhere, you must stay put. We're going to issue you with NVC cards, and you have to have these NVC cards, otherwise you can't go from one place to another. We will charge you if you go from one place to another. So you must stay for the NVC card. And then you realize why so much effort was put into keeping these people in place, and it was to finish them all off.
Aung San Suu Kyi, unfortunately, has been part of that narrative as well. And just to give you a very, very quick example, one very quick example, there was a pamphlet written by Aung San Suu Kyi in the 1980s about her father, who was one of the founding generals of Myanmar. And it's the usual thing, I'm very proud of my father and his legacy and so on. But she actually says in that pamphlet that we are proud Buddhist nationalists, not like those Kalar. And Kalar is the equivalent in the US, you'd say the N-word, is to use the N-word, or in the UK to refer to somebody as a Paki. Yeah, it's an equivalent word. And this is all a matter of public record. We simply choose to ignore it because we like to have our heroes untarnished.
She knew what she was signing up for when she became state councillor. She knew that the military would retain control of the three most important ministries in the country: defence, borders, and the interior, home affairs. She knew all that, and she knew that they retained 25% of the parliamentary vote. So at this stage, the constitution can't be changed because of that.
Very interested to hear what you think is going to happen in the camps, the IDP camps inside Myanmar, and presumably there's still hundreds of thousands of people in there who can't get out. What do you think it's like there, and what likely fate is in store for them.
Having been inside the ghetto in the capital Sittwe on Mingala, which has 7 checkpoints, it was the only Rohingya area that was preserved after the 2012 arson attacks and massacres, that those people are sitting ducks. I mean, they must be absolutely terrified, the people in the camps and the people in the ghetto, because they are surrounded by an extremely hostile population.
And I suppose the other point is about those Rohingya still inside Rakhine State, is they've nowhere to go. The choice is to go through northern Rakhine State, which the army occupies, and they know what has happened to Rohingya there. They can't go to the water, there's nowhere to go, there's hardly any boats left. They can't go into main side of Burma, so they really don't have anywhere to go.